Alright, so you got good habits. Now, here's how you actually get the most out of those habits. So there are a couple of levels to this. Getting the most out of good habits is level 3. So then the question is, well, what is level 1? What is level 2? Level 1 is just the habits themselves. So before you start and try to make those habits as good as you humanly can, you first of all need to establish them. Okay? So again, you establish the basics: reading, meditation, working out, eating properly, working on tasks. For me, I do stretching, but I'm also gratitude journaling. Now you might ask, well, how is stretching in there? Well, the reason I do stretching is because with the volume of working out that I do, I can't maintain that unless I actually stretch. So that's kind of the reason for that being in there. Okay. But level 1 is you haven't been meditating, so you go from, so there is level 0, which is you don't do the habits at all. Level 1 is you do the habits, but you kind of do it randomly. So you'll meditate kind of whenever, you'll gratitude journal a bit whenever, you work out when you feel like it. That's level 1. Level 2 is where you go, okay, so these are the things I gotta do. I gotta eat like this, I gotta work like this, okay, I gotta meditate, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. It's when you actually slot them in properly. So it's when you make your timetable. So now you know, oh shit, okay, so I wake up at 7 a.m. Hit the shower, read, okay, meditate, boom, done. That's the level 2. Now you might ask, well, okay, so if I know what I'm gonna do and at what time I'll do it, so I know, well, let's say, you'll meditate at 7:30 a.m., then what the fuck is level 3? A level 3 is you getting even more specific. Now, before you get to level 3, I'd highly recommend you, like, let's say you're working out. I'll probably end up making a completely separate video on this because it's kind of important. But in order for you to actually execute on something, and in order for you to, for example, be able to work out consistently and actually do it well, you need a plan. So you can't just, I mean, what I found is you say you'll do cardio, let's say 3 times per week, which is what I'm on right now. Now you're just saying you'll do cardio and actually accepting any form of cardio. It might seem like that would be easier because now you can go hoop, you can go running, you can hop on the bike, you can do all these things. But what really ends up happening is that it's so bloody vague that it's actually harder to do. Because now every single time you're gonna do cardio, you have to first of all figure out what cardio you'll do. So maybe you'll go to the gym this time, maybe you'll go hoop. But then you also need to figure out how you'll do the cardio. And let's take hooping for example. Not in the least because I've been reading Kobe's book, but anyways. Not only do you first gotta figure out, okay, I want to hoop. Now you also need to figure out where you're gonna do it, and then what you're gonna take with you to do it. Like maybe, like if that's the form of cardio you do always, great. But let's say you go to the gym, then you also hoop, then you also hop on an exercise bike, you also go running. You're kind of gonna have a different loadout every single time you go out to do cardio. So what happens is that you just have to think about a bunch of shit, which makes it vague. And especially if you get to the point where you're almost missing it, like you suddenly look at your timetable and go, shit, I gotta work out. And if you in that moment don't know exactly what you're gonna work out, how you're gonna work out, so forth, the likelihood of you missing that workout will, without a doubt, go through the roof. Because you don't simply have enough clarity. So clarity is absolutely vital. Now, you don't necessarily have to be complete autist mode about this. You don't have to write down in Apple Notes, hopefully not Notion, how you're going to work out. Like, of course, if you track your gym sessions in an app, like have templates, of course, that helps a lot. But when it comes down to cardio, probably don't. I mean, you can write it somewhere so that you know it. I mean, I wrote it just in Apple Notes. Extremely simple. Okay, Monday this, Tuesday this, whatever the fuck. Easy, done. But here's the thing. So you establish the habits. And now that you know exactly what type of cardio you'll do and how you'll do it, look, like if you're gonna hoop, just make a mental note of it. And I do the cardio the same way every time. Like, kind of keep the general style of it the same. Like, if you do running, you don't have to run the same lap, but just keep the activity the same. Because if you don't, it's just gonna be all over the place. And again, that's another thing you'll have to think about. And then you'll all of a sudden work less. And again, you just increase the likelihood of you missing the habit. But that's kind of between level 2 and level 3. Now level 3 is where you get specific about the time you spend on that habit. So level 1 is read, level 2 is how and when you're gonna read. And then level 3 is how much are you going to read. So you wanna get specific, because that's gonna allow you to move the needle consistently way more than if you just gonna wing it. If you just read, like, look, to get on track, like let's say you're in a rut, to get on track, what you wanna do is make the habit extremely easy so that you can just do it. 1 second is enough. But when you've been going at it for 2 weeks, probably more though, when you've been going at it for a month, 2 months, that's when you wanna actually set targets for the habit so that you can raise your standard. Now you might ask, well, why would I need to raise the standard? Well, because you will get more out of it. So let's say you take reading. You want to raise it. You want to raise the amount of reading you're doing. But it doesn't have to be anything crazy right now. I'm shooting for 10 minutes. But that's gonna allow you to read consistently for 10 minutes, which is a bit over an hour a week. But you're consistent with it. So you're not really gonna read too little, but you're also not gonna spend your entire morning just reading like 3 hours straight. So it makes it more, in a sense, routine based. It makes it more manageable. Like, reading is good. Setting a time for reading, I'd say, is again a solid move. Where it really starts to make a difference though is the other habits. So cardio, for example. Again, if you're not used to doing cardio, you can start off by just running X amount of time. But once you get used to that, set a specific time. So probably the clearest one is meditation. Because at least for me, what ends up happening is if I don't set a timer or a specific target time to meditate, I'll probably the least I'll do realistically is 3 minutes. Then sometimes I'll do 5, and then even more rare I'll do 10. The issue with that is that I fluctuate between 3 and 10 minutes, just based off how I feel. But the thing is, and this is important, I could do the 10 minutes every single day. Like, I've gotten to the point where I could, and I know I can because I've done it in the past, I can do the 10 minutes every single day. And so what happens is that I settle for less than what I'm capable of, but more importantly, I'm leaving a bunch of ROI on the table. So, because the return on investment you get for meditating 3 minutes compared to 10 is, like, the difference is massive. Not only, think about it, if you set the target to 10 minutes, and that's actually a level you can maintain, you're meditating at least 3 times more per day than if you were just doing 3. That's already huge. So you get at least 3 times the benefit. But then also, you get 3 times more time to learn meditation. Because every single time you meditate, you get better at it. So not only do you get 3x the effect, but you also get 3x the lessons. And so, look, you end up with the impact meditating 10 minutes per day, in my experience, has on your life compared to 3 is like probably between 5 and 20x. It's that big. But I never go to the 10 minutes meditation per day unless I specifically specify that to myself. That, hey, listen, motherfucker, we're at that level where we want to be meditating 10 minutes per day. We're at that level where this is what we do now. If I don't specify it, if I don't sit myself down, if I don't write it in my habit tracker, I never start doing it. Now then you might ask, well, wouldn't 15 be even better? Well, perhaps. But this is where we get to kind of the highest ROI for it. I just found that when I do 15, if I'm having a really bad day, I actually struggle to maintain that. And so I don't do 15, I do 10. Because with 15, what happens for me usually is that I end up falling off, whereas with 10, that I pretty much can maintain. And then you might ask, well, how do you figure out, like, well, I'll actually give you 2 more examples. Stretching, I got that at 5 minutes, so my evening routine right now is stretch. Now it's brush teeth, stretch for 5 minutes, gratitude journal for 3 or 5 minutes. I haven't decided yet. The reason stretching is of 5 is because going more than 5, first of all, for stretching for me is just too much. Like, it's not, of course I would be more flexible if I did more. But that's where I feel like I start to fall off from the habit if I do more than 5. Because I feel like I can get almost all the stretches done that I feel like doing if I do it in 5. And it's actually long enough to where it's not like 2 minutes where I just do 1 stretch and that's all. But it's like, okay, I actually can go through some things with the 5 minutes. But if I do more than that, if I aim for 10, I'll just be almost standing around there going like, well, what the fuck? What the fuck am I supposed to do now? And so that's why I cap it at 5. Because it's like the bell curve, so it's right at the top. Although the bell curve doesn't really work like that. Well, to be honest, I don't know. But it's right at the point where it's long enough to where it actually improves my flexibility, or at least maintains it notably, so that I actually notice it every time I'm at the gym that, okay, I've been stretching. That's important. But it's also not short enough, or it's not too long to where I start to fall off the habit. And like, even with the reading, I'll just run it 10 minutes right now and figure out later how much I actually want to read per day as a part of the morning routine. Of course, I can read later on and whatnot. But in terms of the reading length in the morning routine specifically, I gotta figure that out. But a lot of the reading is just mindset as well. And in my experience, you want to start the day slow, so that's kind of why just taking a quick shower, shaving, whatever the fuck, meditating, reading is really good because it kind of forces you to slow down. You can't rush shaving, you can't rush the reading, you can't rush meditation, so you're gonna just force to take it slow, and then that sort of almost like slow but more so calm but focused energy carries with you for the rest of the day and you're good to go. But so how do you determine the ROI? And this is specifically where you first of all need to stop being a bitch and just fuck around and find out. There is no rule to this. Like you don't want to be one of these motherfuckers that asks ChatGPT how much time you should work out. To be honest, it's not long ago that I was actually asking ChatGPT because I was trying to make some changes to my workout program, like realistically how would you do this? But you don't want something like ChatGPT to have the final decision. You want to go from being a complete autist to being able to rely on yourself. So how do you figure out how much time to meditate per day? Well, you start with 1 minute, then you do 2, then you do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way to 20, maybe half an hour. And then you go, okay, so I meditated all between 1 minute and 30 minutes. Now, what time, like, how much meditation specifically feels the best for me, to where I'm getting most of the gains, but it's also not so long that I just fucking get pissed off at the habit and I never want to meditate again. And for you that might be 20 minutes. If that's the where you're at, then that's dope. But for me, at least right now, it's 10, 100%. But you need to find that point. And no ChatGPT is gonna be able to tell you how much to meditate. Like in my experience, 10 minutes is the sweet spot. So you can try that. But if that doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. Just figure it out. Like, stop trying to get an outside opinion on everything and actually start to listen to yourself and actually look at your life and see how you're doing with a certain amount of, let's say, stretching even. Like, if you notice, okay, you know what, I actually kind of enjoy stretching, let me do 10. I actually enjoy it and you feel like it makes your life better, then do 10. But if you feel like stretching is really damn hard and you don't really feel like that ROI is too big, but you kind of want to do it still, then maybe you do 3. But it really depends. Depends on your circumstance. But for me, 10 minutes of reading, 10 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of stretching, and then either 3 or 5 minutes of gratitude journal. 3 is, like for me specifically with gratitude, is where I know I can maintain that. And if I set the goal to 3 minutes of gratitude journaling, I'll always write about the same amount of text. Whereas if I don't set a time-based goal for it at all, then I'll just write a sentence. Sometimes I'll write a paragraph, but a lot of the times I'll just write a sentence. So again, setting the time actually anchors it quite a lot and allows you to be way more consistent, which is gonna increase the ROI for it. But so, exactly what I'm gonna do is I'll just do it for 5 minutes a couple of days. Then I'll do it for 3 minutes. And I'll just figure out, okay, did I like more doing the 5 or 3? And then I'll just go with the one I prefer. Like sometimes, like when you make a timetable with establishing routines, and especially like if you're wondering about things like which order should I do the routine in, a lot of that just boils down to trying it out. You don't need to ask ChatGPT. What you need to do is be patient. Stop being in a bloody rush. You don't need to have the answer like yesterday. Like, think about it. If it takes you a week to figure out how many minutes you want to meditate, and you kind of find a sweet spot that gets you this feeling of, okay, yeah, I get to meditate 10 minutes. Shit, this is dope. If you then can maintain that for the rest of your life, like, that week ain't gonna matter. So stop being in a bloody rush about the habits. So for me, I'll probably stick to about 10 minutes of meditation for the rest of my life. If not increase it, but we'll see. It's gonna take a while for me to do that, if that's what I'm gonna do, but 10 minutes for sure. And so, you just need to throw shit out. I need to stop rushing, and then you need to sit there and go, what do I feel like I actually want to do? What do I feel like, where do I feel like that I'm getting a lot of benefits from this habit, but it's not so hard that I don't want to do it anymore? Because I'll tell you this right now. If I set the goal to meditate, let's say 20 minutes per day, and I wouldn't accept less than that, well, then I'd probably stop meditating altogether, because it's just too much. And so, you gotta figure out yourself. So, set the habit, make the timetable, figure out how long you want to spend on that habit per day, but just try it out. Maybe you do 3 minutes first, then 5, maybe 7, 10, 15, maybe even 20, depending on the habit. And then literally just choose what you want, and you'll be fine. That's all I got for you today. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.